Hi, I'm Teresa and welcome to my channel. Today I thought I'd give some sapphic book recommendations because when am I not giving sapphic book recommendations? But I thought it'd be really fun to do some sapphic book recommendations based on popular books. So it's a kind of, if you like this popular book, you'll probably like this sapphic book kind of format. And I'm just basing this around kind of similar concepts or tropes or themes. And I have to admit, I've not read all of these, either the sapphic ones or the popular ones, so I might not be completely right, but it's due to the vibes I'm getting from synopses and what people have said about them. And this video is particularly exciting because it's my stop on the A Dark and Hollow Star blog tour. Of course, I'm going to be talking about this book a lot, but all opinions are my own. I was sent this copy by the publisher, but trust me, I loved it purely because of the book, not because I was sent it. It is just incredible. It's my first 5-star read of the year. This book, it feels like the start of something really, really special. And I cannot wait to see where this goes. I can see so much potential for the series and then just for the world in general, and oh, so excited to talk to you about it. So as part of the blog tour, I will also be posting about this on my Instagram and posting a review, so I will leave a link to both my review and to the Instagram post when it goes up. Probably a couple of hours after this video if you want to check them out as well. And I'm also going to include a bookshop affiliate link if anyone would like to purchase this book. And it just means I'll get a little bit of commission and it won't affect your price, and you'll also be supporting independent bookshops, which is really important, especially as we are in lockdown and they're really struggling. I've always got a general bookshop affiliate link in my descriptions if you ever want to use that in general, but I'm going to put a specific one for this book as well. So my first recommendation for this video is, if you liked City of Bones by Cassandra Clare, you will like A Dark and Hollow Star by Ashley Shuttleworth. And so I'm only going to give the synopsis of the sapphic book just because we'd be here forever, and I think most of the popular books, they are popular, you're probably going to know what they're about. So A Dark and Hollow Star is the beginning of a new urban fantasy series, and you are following 4 point of views. And so this book takes place mostly in Toronto, and you're really exploring the magical underworld of the city. And in this book, the magical underworld is fae, whereas in Shadowhunters you've got a whole mix of things. It's like, so this is like if Shadowhunters only had the fae and you only had the courts and all the different types of fae creatures kind of living in the underworld. And here you're in Toronto, whereas in City of Bones you're in New York. And yes, you're following 4 point of views. You have got Arlo, who is pansexual. She is an Ironborn, which is a half fae, half human. And she's got very little magic, and she's kind of struggling to find her place in this society. And you've got Nausicaa, who I love so much. I'm starting a fan club for her. Oh, I love her. She's an ex-Fury, which is really cool. And so she's immortal, but she committed a crime and she has been essentially stripped of her powers, but left with her immortality to live in the human world. And so she's just massive sword lesbian, just walking about with her big sword, fucking people up. It's brilliant. I love her so much. Next, you've got Vean, who is the High Prince of Sealy Summer Court. And he's in a very difficult position. His mother is very overbearing, very power hungry. And you also follow his guardian, Aurelian. And these two were best friends as children, but Aurelian, you find out, has been taken in by Vean's mother as something to be used to manipulate Vean. And so they've got this kind of trouble in their relationship because of this. And so during the time of the book, a lot of Ironborns are being found murdered quite brutally, quite ritualistically. So these are these half fae, half human, and they're quite often like outsiders. These 4 teenagers really come together as the only people who are interested in solving the murders and who are able to. And it's just such a fun time, such a fun ride. Incredible world building. I love this world so much. I cannot wait to see what Ashley Shuttleworth does with the world in the next book in the series. It's going to be incredible, and amazing characters, and got some slow burn romancing going on, and oh, it's so good. I really enjoyed it. So yes, this book's sapphic and Achillean. So you've got both a main FF romance and main MM romance. And you've got so many good tropes. So with my girls, Arlo and Nausicaa, you've got this big badass sword lesbian who'll fight anyone, and soft and gentle and lovely Arlo, and I love them so much. You've got like a little bit of enemies to lovers, because when they first meet, Arlo accuses her of murder and they're not really getting along. And then with Vean and Aurelian, you've got childhood friends to lovers, you've got this like Prince Bodyguard trope, you've got all of that. So good, so much fun. Ashley Shuttleworth wrote this for me specifically because I love these tropes. So yes, in terms of similarities to City of Bones, as I've said, you're exploring this magical underworld in a big city, though this is Toronto, and that's cool in itself. I've never seen Toronto as a setting, which is amazing. And it's just teenagers coming together to save the world because the adults are all a bit useless, and you know, your multiple point of views and all of that. And so it's got that kind of basic underlying plot in terms of settings, in terms of genres being urban fantasy and all of that, but make it extremely queer, and you also deal a bit with mental health. Nausicaa has got on-page depression, which is really, really cool to see in such a powerful, immortal character who really takes no shit, but will say straight up that she's depressed. It was amazing to see that representation on page, and to kind of, you also explore a bit through her character the kind of consequences of the Fae really thinking they are above human conditions such as that. And also in terms of queer rep, I just remembered you've got a gender fluid side character, which is really cool, and you've got a side character who uses neopronouns. You've got just so much little casual bits of diversity and representation, which I adored, and I love to see in mainstream publishing, traditional publishing. I'm just so excited for what I think this series has the potential to be. I really, really cannot wait to see what happens next. Next up, if you liked Shatter Me by Tahereh Mafi, I think you'll like Girl Serpentthorne by Melissa Basherdust. So I've not got a physical copy of Girl Serpentthorne yet. I will at some point. This is one I read last year and loved, and I've never read Shatter Me, so I'm sorry if I misunderstand something from the synopsis. Girl Serpentthorne is a standalone fantasy novel, and it is inspired by Persian mythology. So you follow a main character called Soraya, and she is a princess, but she has been almost locked up really because she is poisonous to the touch. She lives alone, she's only got her garden for company, and she's she's angry, she's sad, she's just not in a very good place because she is so lonely, and she really questions whether she's more monster or girl because of her killing touch. And so when a new guard arrives at the palace, as well as a div, she finds hope that there's some kind of cure and that she can lose this power and become normal. And I love this story. You've got such a morally grey main character, morally grey sapphic relationship. Soraya is bisexual, and you've got a love triangle going on between a male love interest and a female love interest. And I love it. It's so just well done, well written. The writing style is absolutely perfect for this kind of fairy tale feel. And so I thought this was similar to Shatter Me because you've got that poisonous to the touch aspect and being locked up, and also this questioning of your humanity when this is your power and your morality and all of that. I think that's a really interesting theme, and although I don't know how it's explored in Shatter Me, I loved how it was explored and resolved in Girl Serpentthorne. I thought it was just the absolute perfect kind of development of that plot line. Incredibly well done. And yes, I just really enjoyed this one. If you love fairy tales, fantasy, and morally grey sapphics, this is something you would really, really enjoy. I love it a lot. Next up, if you like The Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater, I think you'll like The Devouring Grey by Christine Lynn Herman. So The Devouring Grey is the first book in a duology, and you follow four main characters who all live in this small town called Four Paths. These four characters are the descendants of the town's founders, and you find out that this family line carries magical abilities. And so your main character is Violet, and she and her family have just moved back to the town, but she has no knowledge of these powers or of the dynamics of the town, or that even her family is a founding family. And so you follow her kind of adjusting to this life where she is descended from the founders, and the founders are treated like gods in this town. And you also meet some of the other characters, and what's happening in the town at this time is that people are turning up dead. There's a beast that lives in the woods, and is really mauling people and killing them, and it's up to our 4 trusty teenagers to save the day with their powers, and it's so much fun. And I think it's just perfect for fans of the Raven cycle because you've got these 4 teenagers kind of thrown together, unlikely friends, this fun magic system, this just woodsy element and writing style. It's very similar in that kind of vibe, and it just is so good, works so well. It's just very character driven, and it's a similar kind of magic level paranormal elements. I'd say this one's slightly more fantastical, but really they are both very similar in terms of that level, and it is just this woodsy, magical small town vibe. And also this one is sapphic because you've got a bi-main character, Violet, and you've also got a lot of other queer characters, and it's just a whole lot of fun. I highly recommend this one. Next up, if you like The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, I think you'll like Daughter of the Burning City by Amanda Foody. So this follows a main character called Serena, and she lives in this traveling festival circus called the City of Gomorrah, and it's rather dark, it's debauched, it's such an interesting setting. And Serena is extremely rare even among the performers of the circus because she's an illusion worker, the first one born in centuries. And she can create startlingly lifelike illusions, and so she's created people, really. Friends, family members who aren't real, they're illusions, but they look real, they feel real, they're always there. And this all goes a bit wrong because one of them turns up dead, murdered, and so Serena is set on this journey of trying to figure out both who murdered them and how they murdered someone who's not real. And she's kind of racing against time because more illusions are turning up dead. And I read this one quite a while ago now, so I don't remember it perfectly, but I really loved it. I think this is one of the first sapphic books I read, and I picked it up completely by accident, not realising it was sapphic. But you've got a bisexual main character, you've got so many queer side characters, your love interest is, I believe, like demisexual maybe. There's no labels used on page because it's fantasy, but he's definitely on the a spectrum. And so you've got the kind of circus setting of the night circus, the illusion working, and where the night circus is a competition. This is a murder mystery. Yeah, I don't know, I love circus settings, and this just illusions are really fun to read about as well. And I just think that these two go very well together. And yes, it might be a slightly loose recommendation because all it's really got is that kind of setting and illusion aspect, but you know what? Any opportunity to recommend this book, I do not talk about it enough. I might need to reread it actually so I can talk about it properly. Oh, it's gorgeous and I really loved it. Next up, if you enjoyed Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard, I think you'll like Criers War by Nina Varela. So I've spoken about Criers War quite a bit recently because I reread this and I read the sequel later last year. But if you don't know, this is a fantasy duology, and it is set in this world where automi rule. These are extremely lifelike robots, basically, and well, robots probably isn't quite the right word. They are created through alchemy, and yeah, they are very lifelike, but they see themselves as above humans and above some human things like sickness, like emotion, and they have essentially subjugated the human race. And you follow a dual point of view between Crier and Ayla. Crier is the daughter of the sovereign, she's an automa, and she's a bit naive to the real situation that her world is in, and quite sympathetic really to humans, and in a way that she's not really supposed to be, and she's very forward thinking almost in a world that's not quite ready for that yet. And you also follow Ayla, who is human. She is a servant at the palace, and she's working there kind of undercover for the rebellion of the humans against the Automate, and trying to get close to Crier because her family was murdered by Crier's father, and she wants to take from him what he took from her and kill his only daughter. And so when Crier and Ayla meet and Ayla saves Crier's life, she is promoted to Crier's handmaiden. And this begins a kind of friendship between the girls, which may blossom into an enemies to lovers relationship. And I really enjoyed this. I loved Ayla's kind of internal conflict of her feelings towards Crier and this maybe Otome aren't all bad, can I really kill her, that kind of thing. So this book is just full of intense yearning and politics. The politics are done so well, the yearning is done even better. I really just adore it. And so I thought that this was similar to Red Queen in regards of having a society where you've got an elite. In this, it's people with silver blood have powers in this one. And you've got a main character here with a red blood, just human, and I thought that's quite similar in this aspect. And you've also got the human resistance, and you've got a human character infiltrating the palace in some way, getting close to the heir, kind of enemies to lovers going on. And I thought a lot of that dynamics, that politics was quite similar. I actually need to finish the Red Queen series now that I think about it. I never read the 4th book. So maybe I'll do that one day. But in the meantime, I would really recommend Criers War just for this political YA fantasy taking down a corrupt throne. I think it's a whole lot of fun, and it's got absolutely gorgeous sapphic romance. And finally, if you like A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab, I think you'll like The Space Between Worlds by Micaiah Johnson. So I've not yet read The Space Between Worlds, but I've heard incredible, amazing things, and I really want to. I'm so excited to. So I do apologise if I get anything wrong here, but this follows a main character called Kara, and she travels between worlds. So this is a sci-fi kind of futuristic settings where multiverse travel is now possible, but you can only travel to a world where your doppelganger is no longer alive. And for some reason, Kara's doppelgangers seem to have all passed away. There's only 8 left. And so she's selected as the perfect candidate to work in traveling between worlds. And so she's just living that life, flirting a bit with her co-worker, and she's maybe not quite fitting in with this high society that she's joined through being promoted to this position. But everything's going quite okay until one of her doppelgangers is murdered, and this sets her on the path of uncovering secrets about herself and her identity and just the world around her and secrets that threaten the multiverse. And this just sounds so good. I've heard such good things about the romance and the characters and the plot and just everything about it. Such good things. So excited to read it. And so I thought it was quite similar to A Darker Shade of Magic because you've got this main character who is able to travel between worlds and is one of the only people in their society to be able to do so. And you're kind of solving a mystery in both of these, uncovering some secrets, and you're also just following a main character who doesn't feel like they completely fit in the society that they are in, the high position that they are in, which I found really interesting, and I quite liked how it was done in this one. However, this is fantasy, and The Space Between Worlds is sci-fi, is the main difference. I've only read this first book, so I could be speaking shite, but The Space Between Worlds, the journey also sounds a lot more personal, whereas this is bigger than your main character, in a way. And The Space Between Worlds is also sapphic. You've got a bi-main character, she's also black, and a lot of her journey is very personal. It's a story of survival, really, and this just isn't quite the same in terms of very personal, to do with your own identity and your own past. But yes, The Space Between Worlds just sounds incredible. So excited to read it sometime soon. And yes, that is the last recommendation. I will, as always, have Goodreads links to all of the books mentioned down below and reviews where I've got them. And just a reminder that you can find the bookshop affiliate link and my social media down below, and I'd really appreciate you checking them out. And remember to check out A Dark and Hollow Star by Ashley Shuttleworth. It's out now. You don't want to miss this. It's really going to be the start of something special, and you do not want to miss my girlfriend Nausicaa, okay? I need someone to come and simp over her with me. So yes, that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed, and I will see you with a new video soon.